Is it dropped?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Franz, for being so so nice and supportive to say yes to have a talk tonight. And I read what you have written on your webpage the last weeks, and in German. And thank you for the article today in English and the interview with Christine. And from my point of view, working with IoPT in Norway, having a lot of students all over, we are more just now in this situation about now we are in this, we are in it, and what to do then.
Mm-hmm.
And could you say something about which kind of trauma is going on, what is triggered in people, and inform us a bit from your IoPT thinking about this, and also how we as IoPT therapists can meet our clients' needs. I know every IoPT traumatherapist are jumping onto online platforms, and maybe you can also say something about that, and we can also fill in, because we have been working on digital platforms in Norway for about 3 years. So if there was anything needed from our side, we can fill that in. But I'm most curious to hear from you. What is going on? What is it that we are in this crisis? All these traumas are triggered, that existential trauma, trauma of loss, or childhood trauma is triggered again when we cannot be in close contact. And could you speak a little bit about that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marta, for the spontaneous invitation to have this talk with you. And thank you also the Katharina and Lynn in the background who are supporting us with the technical things. I learned in a moment that it's very helpful if we talk about those online conferences, seminars, or individual sessions, that the technique is a good technique. And at the moment you work with a group, it's necessary that somebody in the background is doing the support work, the technical support. So we have it here already now. Okay, there are two issues. The one issue is what's going on and what is the theory, and the other side is what is the practice, as I always need, because IoPT means identity-oriented psychotrauma theory.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the basis for therapy. No? This is the same here. First theory, and then is that what you are doing practically is sound? If the theory is sound, then your practice is sound. Yeah. Okay, so let me say something about my learning in the last days. Every day I learn something new about this Corona crisis.
Yeah.
And so I say you what's my last insight in that. Okay, then we go to the practice of IoPT in these times of Corona. So this is a very good idea and a good structure for our talk here. The first thing is, if I say that Corona is something like a natural catastrophe, yeah? It's really a virus that is aggressive, a virus that our immune system does not know yet if it's some unexpected reactions of the virus, then of course we can say this is at risk, this is a danger, this is a risk for some of us, maybe many of us, or is a risk worldwide. I can't say that clearly how high the risk is. This is impossible for me. I'm getting so much information, and there's so much speculation about this, how the risk is really. Yeah? And no one, I think, no one really can tell you, because this all are theoretical assumptions that the medical experts are making, and you can make this assumption and that assumption, and depending from the percentages you calculate, on the one side you feel safe, safe enough. It's something that we have to deal with every year if there is an influenza infection epidemic, or if you have other assumptions, then immediately it makes you very, very anxious and drives you crazy if you think about the consequences and you're not prepared to deal with all these suffering people with lung infections and people going to hospital and nobody can help you in the end. So this is I don't know. I really can't say how high the risk is, but personally, I would say it's not so high as it's described in the media worldwide. This is the one thing. But let's say, okay, in general, this is a natural catastrophe. There exist many of them, like tsunamis and earthquakes, and or see how the wood was burning in Australia. So floods, hurricanes, all kind of things that what is our human condition for life on this earth. Yeah, so viruses exist, and from the beginning on, maybe they are even older than we human beings. They are part of evolution, and they will be part of evolution as long as other life existing on the planet. So what is the consequence? The consequence is, if we have a natural catastrophe, there will be people who die. There will be people who are hurt severely. There will be people you can save and other people you can't save. Yeah. And if we look at it from the IoPT's point of view, you have this classification and can say, okay, one thing is existential trauma. The trauma of existential threat for those who are exposed to a risk, and this comes from outside, and then you develop fear. The emotional reaction to that is fear, and being fearful. And if there's a real it comes close to being severely threatened, then it will be fear to die. The fear to die, the fear to die is very unpleasant feeling, of course, and this excites your whole organism. And even if you survive an event like this, let's say a crash in a car, let's say a dangerous birth process, then this fear may remain. Yeah, it doesn't vanish completely, because you have to split in such situation, and the fear stays with you, even if you have a birth trauma, and afterwards all your life maybe you fear your birth, you are fearful because of your birth trauma. And when then there is something happening in the outside, then this old trauma feelings could be triggered. We know this from many examples. We know that. And this is what we call the existential trauma. Yeah, a natural catastrophe are combined with fear of death. One thing. Another thing, what natural catastrophe are combined with are losses. Yeah, we have losses. We have losses of our health. You lose your arm, you lose your eye, you lose your hearing, whatever you can lose in such a situation, or even you can lose your life. And when you lose your life, then for you, of course, it's over. You don't have to panic any longer. But with those who survive, this is a trauma. Yeah. Yeah? If the child dies, and then it's a trauma for the mother. If the mother dies, it's a trauma for the child. If your partner dies, it's a trauma for you, and so on. Yeah, this is a huge thing. And this trauma of loss, as we call it in IoPT, this trauma of loss, is connected with a feeling of pain of being left alone, of pain of being alone now without this person you are connected with or you have loved, maybe in some ways. So this is something also not easy to deal with, is a trauma feeling, and because it's often so painful, it's too painful to tolerate it with your consciousness. The same happens where it's like in a trauma of in existential trauma, we split off the trauma feelings, and we split off our pain, and we split off our being left alone, and and all this sadness that is that is included in that. Sometimes even rage. You are angry because this person died. So all these trauma feelings are again separated from the rest of the psyche, and you try to live on. What we call in IoPT, we try to survive. It means your loss trauma can also be something that follows with you all your lifetime. I know this very good from my mother. My mother, who lost her father in an accident, in a work accident when she was 19, and she never got over it. And she was always somehow she was always still in this situation. And the father was brought home, laid on the table, and she and her sisters had washed that corpse of him. I think these pictures still stayed in her psyche until she died. Yeah, this I understood. So this is, of course, another thing with all these accidents and all these natural catastrophes, that we suffer from trauma of loss, yeah, especially those who lose relatives, and also the society. Also, if you are a doctor, medical stuff, then you try to save this person in this catastrophe, and then you see, no, I can't do anything. This person will not be saved; he will die. Then sometimes there is, even if there's a car accident, that is then they made it like this. They divide the whole group of suffering people into three parts. The one is the less severe severe wounded. The others are the middle class, and the others are those who are very severely damaged. Yeah? And then they decide and say, let's go first do something with the middle class people. They have not so severe damages that you can save them, and first go to them. And then, if there's still capacities, you can go to those who are very severely damaged. The same is now happening with the lung infections. That they say, okay, if we do not have enough capacities, and we have then more people than we can deal with, then first we deal with those who are in the middle, and those who would need a lot of effort to make them survive. Or we also say we have to let them die in order to save others. This is This is called risk management. Very normal risk management. Yeah.
This is as it has always been.
Always in every type of all type of
accident. I know it from people working in the ambulance and friends that are medical doctors and nurses. It's always been like this.
That is normal, yeah. This is also a good way of dealing with risk calculation and saving more people than letting them die in such a situation. Yeah. Okay, so we have these two situations, these two types of trauma. Yeah. Okay, and somehow, if this is a natural catastrophe, we have to deal with it. We have to accept trauma. We have to accept, in this case, we have to accept trauma as part of life. Yeah, and we have to accept that we will never able to save everyone in such situations. Yeah. Okay, but what's going to happen now in the moment with the coronavirus? There are attempts from the epidemiologists. It's a very strange word to speak it out for me. And from the virologists. Let's say.
I've also learned a lot of new words the last weeks.
Okay. And they now also do a risk management. Yeah, this risk management has tried to avoid infections. And of course, it's a reasonable strategy also for such types of risk. But the question is, does it work or not? And as it seems in the moment, it does not work to prevent the infection as much as would be needed to bring it to zero quite quickly. But it's going on. The virus has spread all over the world. There are cases of infection all over. And the attempt to, in a very early state of infection, to contain this infection, it seems not to be possible any longer. And so now the idea is to lower the rate of infection. And this is then the question, is this really reasonable? Is this a reasonable thing to do? Or has it such huge side effects that it is what I now think I can understand now, that this also produces trauma. You now, with the attempt to try to control all over the world the rates of new infections, this puts the whole communities, the societies all world over into a state of stress firsthand. This is a state of stress. You can't do what you would like to do. You're frustrated. If you plan something, you can't do it. I have a phone call with a young lady some minutes ago, and she said, I have had the experience being on a wedding, and the police is coming and closing the wedding down. Yeah. Because there's not any allowed. But this is such a huge stress. This is an emotional stress. This is financial stresses. And if we see how far in the moment governments are going to close down the whole society, to close down any relationship, everything is seems to be dangerous, what you're doing in your everyday life, then this puts not only stress on the population, it also sets the whole population, the whole system, including those who are ruling, including those who are making the decisions now, puts us all under trauma situation, puts us all into a situation of trauma, what is defined with helplessness, not having a perspective that it will end, because nobody in the moment can tell you, will it last, the shutdown of the whole societies, will it last 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, half a year, 1 year? Nobody knows, nobody can tell you. And if some of the virologists tell you, yeah, sometimes it takes 2 years unless this virus is through the whole thing is no longer on risk, then this is a time that nobody can really calculate with, and this is traumatizing. Yeah, what we call trauma.
So it's like, this is now, as I see it now, we are living in a traumatizing society per se. This is
per se. Yeah, what I say from IoPT.
Yeah, because now we are in it.
Yes,
we're in it now. We are all in it, and in some countries, the government tries to make pillows for the people. So they help them. They say, you will get money, you will get this, you will get this, but they haven't said for how long.
Yes.
And people are home from work, working from home. Mother and father working from home, children are home from school, from the kindergarten, and for some families, as we talked about this morning, this seems to be great for a while. The parents are connecting with the children, playing outside and being together, but there is also a lot of families that can't handle this situation. I have had contact with people. They say, no, I start hitting my child. I usually don't do that. But now under this pressure, I'm so triggered, and I do things that I usually don't do, and I don't want to do it. And things like this is happening now. And so I'm really worried for the children at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
Yeah, because even it is some families who can tackle this and they can have a good time, there is a lot of children who is now not having a good time. They are really living in violence.
Maybe in general. In general, you can say in the moment, because we know that the high-risk population is those who are elderly people from 60, 70 upstairs. We are now protecting them and this is maybe a huge word, but sacrificing the future of those who are young and are not infected or are not in a high-risk group. So this is somehow a very, very severe problem. But let me say it again in a more general way before going into details. Who is now stressed or traumatized or close to trauma in special groups of people or who is affected with this? In general, I would like to put the point is we have an natural catastrophe, the virus. I don't think someone really did it on purpose to bring this virus under in the world. So the other thing, we have now a risk management, we have now measures trying to deal with this natural catastrophe that has the side effect, nobody wants it, but it has the side effect, to traumatize the bonding system. Because in our theory, we can also call what is going on a system of bonding relationships.
Yeah.
Bonding relationships, mother-child, families, schools, institutions, whatever, and the whole, and let's say the whole global connections. We have a globalized society, and now by making a measurement that tells you and goes really in the core of our social being, a social existence. The core of social system is connection, is contact. Do contact, yeah, and exchange, and we, of course, we can now do it online, but in the end, you can't make a world living online. Yeah, we need this. And what do you say? The mother-child relationship is a body relationship. Is nothing that you can't do just by imaginations. Okay, so these measurements are turning a natural catastrophe into a social catastrophe. Yes, you see what we are doing in a moment. Yeah? There is a natural catastrophe, and how we react in a moment on it, we produce a social catastrophe. Yeah. And this then is the question: can this be the solution? Is this really something that will solve the problem? And I think no, it will not solve the problem. It doubles the problem. You know, as an IoPT therapist, in our IoPT theory, we know this problem is solved if you are in your health states of your psyche. If you react with the healthy state of your psyche, then you can solve the problem. But if you go into your surviving strategies and deal with your trauma surviving strategies with the problem, you increase the problem. And you see, like somebody who is, for example, has a birth trauma, yeah, it's full of anxieties, and not dealing with the birth trauma, and directly addressing it, and doing a emotional work to solve this split of experiences, then you take, for example, medication. But with this medication, you put another trauma on your body. You even deepen the split even more, and maybe in the end you end up as a drug addict who tries out this drug and this medication, that and that, and you completely destroy your life. That means you only can survive, not living. This is what in our IoPT theory is so important to distinguish: do I live or do I survive? In the moment, what's going on with Corona is just to survive Corona, and not to do in a reason for me in a healthy manner to deal with the trauma of the existential trauma and trauma of loss. What would it mean to deal in a healthy way with it?
What would that mean?
Doing it in a healthy way would mean to have more option, first of all, because there is one characteristics of our trauma surviving strategy. I know they in the moment always think this is the only possible way to do. Taking my medication is the only possible way to do. Withdrawing myself is the only possible way to do. Whatever we have a lot of different types of trauma surviving strategies, but when you are then you always think this is the only way. So the first thing is, if you wanted to deal healthily with this moment, this situation now, you have to have more options, and not only the one reduction of contact, reduction of thing, and the same, and you also see what does it do what I'm trying out. And if you feel uneasy with it, uncomfortable with it, then not deny your feelings, but stay with your feelings. Say, okay, if my body reacts emotionally like this on a measurement I'm making now, that could not be the solution, because then also my feelings would agree if this is the good way. So this is the first thing. Have options, or more options than only one, as we have, as we do in the moment, closing down all the contexts. Another thing, I think, what we learned from IoPT is that that how to deal with existential trauma and loss trauma. We know it from therapy how to deal with it. We know if somebody has had existential trauma during the birth process, during car accident. We as trauma experts, we really know how to deal with it. Meanwhile, it's nothing that is impossible. Yeah, as a trauma, we can deal with the existential threat. You have no longer to split it off, to have to integrate this energy, emotional energy, and then this integrated energy will support you for your further life and no longer hinder you from something. The same is true with this trauma of loss situation. And then also we can deal with this pain. It's a huge pain, but we can deal with it. Under the circumstances, we know meanwhile from our practice, theory and practice, with a reference point, that then the reference point is on you.
Yeah.
But this is called, why we call it identity, because then you are the person whose life it is, who is in charge, who is responsible, and who is now again fully in possession of yourself, of your body, of your reactions or whatever. No? So you are the most important point of reference, and not somebody outside, not somebody who tells you how to do, somebody who knows better than you how to deal with your problems. No? And this is what we can, of course, in the situation now, we can say, nobody will prevent all those losses and deaths that result from a natural catastrophe. But what we can offer as IoPT therapists, we can help to deal with the consequences of it, of the consequences that will show up in every natural catastrophe. And yeah, and then we can bring trust into ourselves, and even into those who want also to go this way, to deal in a healthy way with the existential trauma and the trauma of loss. No? This is possible, yeah. But we have, as I think is as an attitude that is also important for all of us, is to accept death, to accept nature. This is nature. That is something that's stronger than us. That will always be stronger than, and there will no way, yeah, in general, that we can protect and save us from viruses in a way that you never will be harmed by it. Yeah? What I see in the moment, I think that maybe many people now have see their lives like this. If there are illnesses, if there is death, medicine will save me. They will give me medication, they will make an operation, and they save my life. And on the other side, I see that the medical system is in a way is feeding this illusion. That, okay, don't worry about death, don't worry about illnesses, we will save you. And this is, for me, and surviving strategy. And this is the reason for me why in the moment this surviving strategy is so worldwide believed in it. Many people believe that living or dying, being healthy or being not healthy, depends not on themselves, but depends on the medical system and those people who research and develop vaccinations and develop pills and so, in order to make you stay alive and in order to cure you. This is, I think, is one of the the signs that we live in a traumatized in a society with many traumatized fellows of us, that they are not really in contact with themselves. They have very early lost the contact with themselves. We know this from IoPT theory in our practice. And then of course, they are in their surviving strategies. They don't trust, they don't see them as subjects of their life. They don't see the body as something that is theirs. They are very often.
And also this interconnection with psyche and body is lost in this.
It's lost somehow, it's broken, yeah. You see your body like an object that needs treatment from outside.
Yeah.
And you don't
there is a discussion in Norway at the moment. We are in the same situation as Germany and more or less at least half the rest of the world. Where schools are closed and all this, and we are home from work, and then there is these reports, as I mentioned, about the children that is really suffering at the time. That part of the child population was suffering. And then it is, the authorities, the governmental people, they have set in a huge amount of money to take care of these children and but these children, they don't call the childcare system and say, my mother is hitting me and my father is fucking me. They don't do that because they know then it gets even worse. So it's like this is a complete blindness for the long-term effects. And so my question is what can we do as IoPT therapists? How can we support these parents and offering them self-meeting, self-exploration with the intention method, and in these times.
Yeah, but let me before we go into the practical things we can offer. We are a group of people worldwide, but we are, I think, not enough in the moment to deal with all the consequences. So I think there must be a change in the way the whole society is looking at the problem. And so let me again say something about how I see it with these different parts, the healthy part, the traumatized part, and the surviving part. What I've learned over all these years working now with this model is that if you do a surviving strategy, and you try to control something that is not controllable, or for example now in the moment with the infections and the virus, and then you realize this has side effects, has horrible side effects, but as long as you not change into your healthy part, you continue. We know these surviving strategies are not stopped by reality. They are split off somehow from reality already at the beginning, and as longer as they go on doing what they are doing, the longer they split off from reality. That means they split off from emotional reality. They say, okay, now we have the war on virus, we have the consequences, but we have to be reasonable and go on. There is no way to change this way. And then other dramatic consequences are showing up, and you say, oh, look at the children, look at this and that, and they say, okay, I see it, but let's go on. And you only can go on because you do not feel it, because you have closed down your feelings in this situation. This is what I called it before. Only if you feel, then and you go into your emotions, then you feel if a measurement is a helpful measurement or is a measurement that even increases the disaster. And this is what I'm really afraid of, that in the moment people are so reasonable. So reasonable, they say, I know that you lose your job. I know that your child now is together with the perpetrator in the home, and the child will be, how you call it, sexually traumatized. But now we have to do it because there's a principle. We have to follow the principle. And this is what our surviving strategy they're doing. They are no longer flexible. They believe on principles. There is a principle, and we have to follow it, whatever it costs. This is very, very dangerous. I see it in a moment, and this is what I think is also necessary to spread this understanding, Yeah, that this was going on now. It's not a healthy way of dealing with a natural catastrophe like the coronavirus, but to bring a lot of trauma into the whole society. And this has to be stopped. Yeah, this is my message in the moment. Really do everything to make yourself understand what's going on between a healthy part, traumatized part, and surviving strategy. Learn more about this dynamics. Read our books, please. Make discussion if you do not know this, do not understand this dynamics, and inform others about this. This is so now we are on a level where IoPT work has to be done not only in the therapy room, not only in closed groups, but it has to be brought into society. Otherwise, this society kills itself by a virus. But the virus, I never thought it before that a virus could have these effects. But it's not the virus that it does, but it's the way how we react on it. That we do not react out of it from a healthy part of our psyche, but we react on it from a traumatized, from a surviving strategies. Because so many of our fellow people here are traumatized, and their anxieties, the existential threats are triggered, and then not being really in your mind, not being in your feeling, but just being in action. And this is all something we learn from IoPT, that instead of emotional reflection, you go into action and into quick action. You say as quick as possible, but as quick as possible means, in the end, to destroy a lot of beneficial things. You destroy your resources. Yeah, this economic resources, your social resources, financial resources. All this is now put into question by this one-dimensional strategy. Try to lower down the rate of infections. Okay, this is, I think, on a general level, is what I like to say. And another thing is, what came into mind this evening when I was thinking about this, is what is really helping against the virus. It's our immune system. It's a system inside ourselves that has learned over millions of years, how to deal with what's coming out from outside, how to deal with living creatures coming out from outside. And this is something that works autonomous. Very good. It has such a huge intelligence how to deal with those threats coming from outside. And the only thing what we should do is let it do their work. Don't hinder it to do its work. Don't go with your technical possibilities into the core of this system. Don't try from outside to cure the system, but let the system do its work. It's so intelligent, it's so powerful that it only needs a surrounding that supports the work of the system, this inner system. And the more you to hinder this system from doing its work, like now, not letting people being infected. So the immune system can also learn how to deal with the coronavirus and his variations. Then you make it even more difficult for this system. And somehow maybe there's also something that those who are already immune against this virus, they help others to become immune, like the mother-child relation shows us. The mother, having learned, the immune system of the mother, having learned 20 years, 30 years or whatever, how to deal with this bacteria and virus, it gives it to the child during the birth process, through the birth channel, then breastfeeding. So this is how the knowledge of the immune system is transferred to you, to the child. And what we're doing now in the birth process, of course, making a cesarean section, something's missing for the child. Not breastfeeding, something is very important is missing for the child. And so I also believe I don't know, I have no proof for that, but this is maybe a speculation. If I give you my hand, and I have already, my immune system has already learned how to deal with this virus, then I give you something of my immune system without any vaccination, without anything that you need extra.
That's interesting.
I give you my learning, and vice versa. And if you have something learned by body contact, otherwise, think, why would body contact be so important for us? Why do we like to hug? I think there is also maybe something behind, and I would like to discuss it with virologists and immune system specialists, that I think it's not only infectious, what you're doing when we speaking and you pick up some spite of me through the air, but I give you also something beneficial.
That's very interesting.
I transfer something that is beneficial because I have learned already what your immune system not had learned already, and you give me, if your immune system has learned something, you give it to me. And this, I think, is something that is now prevented. The exchange of information, the exchange of learning to deal with the virus is now put into a sterile situation, and now every immune system has to learn it on itself. And this will take years. It will take years unless this is through, the whole process is through. But if one person has developed the immunity and gives it to the others, then we have exponential rate. And this is what normally happens. Within some month, if there is a virus, the thing is over. Of course, some suffer, some have already infections and diseases that are too much, and then on top comes the virus, and then it's too much for your system. And maybe somebody can help you by medical stuff in an emergency situation, but some of us also will die. And as we see now, those who are older already and whose life is going to finish someday, every one of us will.
You know, Franz, this is, I know this is, for most cases, the people who are dying from this COVID-19 is elderly people or younger people with underlying diseases, as it said. And in Norway at the moment, we have people not so old, 52 to 59, and they are severely ill. And according to the doctors, they have no underlying diseases, which is a discussion going on now. What is this?
It can happen. Every day in Germany, 2,600 people died in 2018, the statistics. And there are dying babies, and there are dying, and so it will also happen. Maybe somehow they die because of this type of virus is too much for them, or whatever. But what we know from lung diseases or diseases from our internal organs is now, of course, we know, has to do with how great is the air pollution, for example. China, look at Italy, north of Italy. Look of some cities, they have such a huge air pollution that your immune system is on the edge, dealing with all those things coming in and keeping the lung free from all this stuff that is harming it. So, and there are so many other possibilities that could be, but you can't say if someone who is 50 now dying from maybe somehow in combination that there is the coronavirus, then you say, now this is the reason for shutting down all the core of our human being. The core of our human being is body contact. The core of our human being, from the very beginning, we grow up in a body, the body of the mother. After the birth, we need the body contact. Everybody of us needs really body contact, close body contact. It's the reason why we have partners and partnerships. It's the reason why, even if you're in a hospital in a home for elderly people, It's not the way just to make it all on internet. You want another person to be here, to embrace this person, to have somebody who takes you in your hand. And so body contact is healing. But in the now we try to be convinced, or the governments try to convince us that body contact is disastrous. Body contact is infectious. Body contact is harming. Think on the long run, even if this crisis someday is not over, but declared to be over. But if you do it like this will be never over. It only can be declared to be over, as pragmatical reasons. You have to declare now the crisis is over. Not because of scientific reasons, but to just say it is over as scientific medical reasons, but it's over. We have to declare that it's over. So, but think on the consequences what this will have. If you have made this traumatizing experience that body contact is dangerous, you should keep distance. You shouldn't shake hands. You should not embrace. What this puts into your system that is already maybe a traumatized system, puts another trauma in it. Avoid body contact. This is a way how to destroy the world population of human beings. Maybe we survive for some years. We survive online. We survive with our social medias. Yeah, imagine if we in the moment we would not have these opportunities. How much more stress we would have. In the moment we have these opportunities, this is how beneficial it is. Now we can talk with each other, but normally we would hug, we would exchange also in this, I would think this information of the immune system, and now you're not allowed to do it. You are isolated, and if doing this is putting a huge bonding trauma on the whole population worldwide. And this is another argument for me to say, stop it immediately, at once. In this moment, please stop this trauma surviving strategy in order to deal with a natural catastrophe.
So if you met the Minister for Health in Norway, this is what you would tell him?
Yes, please send him this interview, because
we are friends on Facebook, so I'll share it with him.
Please do it. Please, everyone here, try to make contact not only with those on your social contacts, but also with those who are now in the moment responsible for these decisions, and give them an alternative.
I know, my information is mostly Norway, of course, and I know it has not been easy decisions in Norway, like to close the schools. There was huge argument, and they are still not agreed, but they did this decision, but they don't agree. There is a huge amount of discussion behind the curtains.
I can't imagine even if how here our Chancellor Angela Merkel, or even Jens Spahn, or those people behind it, or our financial minister, how he could sleep easily during the night now, knowing what they are doing in the moment, and knowing how unsafe the future will be, and they always have to, when there is a camera and they talk with journalists, they have to be optimistic. I do not know how they really can stay healthy for a longer time. And so really, it's nothing to accuse somebody. It's nothing to blame somebody, but to say relax in a moment. Look at it from also an IoPT perspective of theory, and see if this would not be a much better model than the models you're trusting in the moment from these exponential curves and so on. We all can learn.
There is a lot of different ways to do this, of course, but we have cities in Norway where there are no cases no known cases of corona, but all the schools are closed. The people are home from work, and then the mayor in these cities, they want to close the city so that their children could go to school. And I agree. It's better. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And even
but this in Norway, where I live, in the middle of Oslo, just where I live in Oslo, this is like called the epicenter of corona in Norway.
Yes, but this is.
So I'm just looking for that they close down this part of the city, and I can't leave this part of the city. Okay. But it's not. I'm laughing, but it's not funny at all. It's for me, this is deeply serious. The consequences of what we are doing, and not discussing different strategies, and everyone is just following one road. We can see that if Denmark makes a decision, the Norwegian government takes the same decision the next day. Mm-hmm. This is so.
It's the same on the government level that on the level of consumption. If somebody buys toilet paper, then the others also think toilet paper is important to buy, and they buy toilet paper again. Toilet paper is running out in our supermarkets.
Have you seen this picture with a man who was to the supermarket and bought a lot of food, but there were no toilet paper, so he couldn't let anything out? Have you seen the picture?
No.
I sent it to you on Messenger.
Okay, please do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's really serious.
It is serious. It's very serious. We got these consequences today, but the long-term consequences for our psychological health, for the children's psychological health. This is so. What can we do?
Yeah. In the moment, learn. I have learned so much about the situation, and I developed my own consciousness. Yeah. This is also on a psychological level for everybody of us to be more grown up, not like children who believe what the parents are saying is right, could be wrong, and could not be possible that my parents are doing something that is harming me. That is what, as a child, you do normally towards your parents, and maybe this attitude is also transferred to the political system. That you think, they are my parents, and they will care for me, and they never can do something that is against me or is harms me. But this is not true. Become more grown up. This is a huge opportunity now, huge chance for everyone to become more grown up. On this level, the conscious level. Yes, so of course we also now talk a little bit about what can we do on the level of IoPT work we're doing. We are used to do, and now in the moment I also going to do work online. Offering online individual sessions. I did one today that perfectly worked, and also doing group seminars with platforms. And this is also fantastically working. We can really do it now. And it needs some technical equipment in the background. This is working. I hope that the internet is not overloaded the longer the things going on. This also could happen, that it's too many people going in the internet doing this work, and then the whole system may be also on the edge. Okay, but now in the moment it works, we can do this. We need technical knowledges and technical support if you're doing group work, but it works. And we can do, this is the message, the important message I would like to spread out to our colleagues. We can do emotional work on screen.
Yes.
Not only doing talking work, this is not enough. We know it from the talk. It's not enough, but doing emotional work. This is what for me was the great question. Is this possible? Even I only see you on the screen. I say to you, please go into resonance with my eye, or go into resonance with whatever. And then you can react on this emotional. this is fantastic that this works.
It is, yeah. I've used this, I've worked with clients in the United States, in Hawaii, other countries, Australia, for 3-4 years. And I know it works excellent, but I have some, when I started, I was in doubt if this, not if it would work, but if the client, when we put off the screen and the client are alone again, you know, if it could be too much for the client. So what I did was that I offered to connect later on. They could call me if they needed to. And when we start using resonators, you know, Lynn is here with me, and she is working on Zoom with resonators. The resonators sitting in different rooms around in Norway, and also that she just look into that they are safe in a way, feel safe, taken care of. And yeah, it seems to work, but I think we need to know what we are doing. This is my
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. And knowing what we are doing, it needs practice, no? It needs practice, it needs experiences, and I just starting to make experiences with online seminars, and I'm offering an update seminar in Germany for online work next Monday. Also an update and a seminar on next Friday, organized by Christine Wong from Singapore in English. So this is what we are going to do. And the idea that if this is a bigger seminar, you have a colleague of you that is assisting and is looking at the group, and if somebody needs support, then these people can turn to this assistant. Similar what we are doing, but I think it is similar what you're doing in an offline work, in the group work. Yeah, that there's always somebody. If you as the facilitating person, the therapist, have not enough capacities to see everything, then another person can help. This is one thing I also installed meanwhile in the seminars, asking a colleague, could you please have a look at those who are new to this work, who are maybe not used to emotional work, not just to talking work, but immediately the IoPT work is emotional work. And and then we have to get used to it, and we have to take care as the therapist also about them.
Yeah, I think also when we work online and we use resonators online, and they are in different homes around our country or around the world, because that doesn't really matter where they are. And also I think it might be good to be aware that this emotional work also might affect them. And they are also alone when we turn off the screen, and so that we also are available for them.
Yes, available for them as possible. We have our recommendation list. Now, this is so important because this recommendation list exists, and I have it here for myself and others who are training, like you. You have maybe your own recommendation list you can offer for Norway and so. And so this is something we have to deal with it. That there's a recommendation list for those cases who are you cannot deal with everyone in a group situation. You need colleagues. And this is for me also something that from the very beginning of IoPT work I learned. IoPT work needs me as the person who develops this, but it also needs a lot of others who are co-developing us, and we are in a healthy way. We are dependent on each other. We do it in a cooperative way to work together. IoPT work is social. We are social.
It is.
We are social human beings. We are not isolated. And there is also, I think, no guru needed, but this is a way of cooperating.
Yeah, and this community that we usually have in IoPT, of course, we all miss it now. this
Yes.
community of people. Of course,
Of
we all
course.
visit.
I
And we
really
look forward.
I really would like to hug you.
Yes,
Because,
I got this. Yes, come on, let's hug.
We have planned this. We have planned on this weekend, no? The Oslo event, and you did so much to translate the new book, Love,
Yeah.
Lost and Trauma. In Norway, we have booked the concert hall. Many people would have liked to come in the moment. We are somehow the victim of strategy.
We had about 200 people for our seminar.
Wow.
But that was closed. So
yeah,
let's see if we can do it in September. I don't know.
Yeah,
but maybe we can then do it online.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see, because as long as we are in a healthy part of our psyche, we have options. We know something can be, now the situation is different and we have options. But on the other side, I'm really also say, I would want to be sad about it. I want to be sad about this big Oslo event with the book presentation, with the concert hall. Does not happen now. It's not happening now, and it's not. Yeah, we are made, even on an emotional level, victim of a survival strategy. I'm not really convinced. So this is. I also find it important not to dissociate and say, oh yeah, this loss I have to tolerate, and this and this and this, but even staying emotional with all these losses we have in the moment. Yeah, really. We are put under pressure. We are prevent from doing what we like to do, what we love to do, and this is, for me, is it somehow makes me cry. Somehow.
Yeah.
This crying for me is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of my strength. I'm still able to cry in a situation when there is a reason for crying. And I do not.
For me, it's like for everyone around the world at the moment. And I'm used to have all these nice people to be around and have this great opportunity to know people on a deep level. And suddenly everything is stopped. This is the private, both the public and the private institutions were closed. Training institute, everything was closed. And then came the next message: therapy with close contact is closed. So both my part of working were closed, and I really, and then you have to choose some people to be around. And luckily I have Lynn. We can be around each other. And Corona friend. Yeah.
But I just found it in the journal. In the hallway.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this with working and going into processes online, there is a lot of different platforms, as you know, but it is no problem to find the technical solutions on YouTube and on internet. And if people has questions, if our IoPT therapists, if they need to know how Lynn is doing it, they can just contact us.
Oh yeah,
because she has done a great work with building up a group of resonators, trained to do it in this way, and they've had they have some experience in this. So she will share her knowledge. They can just contact us. We are here to help. And I say this because I have so many emails from IoPT therapists around the world, because they know we are used to work online. And instead of sitting and writing all these emails back, it's better they just contact Lynn and she can show them.
But
this here is the book.
Oh my goodness! So happy. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Isn't it nice? Congratulations.
Somehow tears are coming out.
Yeah. Isn't it
I'm really
nice?
sad about this. That it does not happen this weekend. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for this work. Thank you.
So I've already sold a lot. Lynn has been packing books the whole day.
Okay, yeah, my
Yeah.
God. Oh,
So,
yeah, it makes me very emotional. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you,
Thank
Lynn,
you,
and thank you all those
for
who have
doing all
made the
this work.
translation. And
Yeah.
yes. Mhm.
And for our colleagues around the world, and for people who want to stay in contact, there is all these opportunities. We just had to do it. I say carefully. You know what I mean.
Mhm.
We need to know what we're doing, as
Mhm.
in our group works and individual
Yes.
work. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm.
And especially these books,
Yeah.
the knowledge about how to deal with sexual trauma
Yeah.
is the main issue, and this is very sensitive issue, and
It is.
one really needs to know how, from a standpoint of theory, before going into practice with sexual trauma too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but this is such a good book.
Okay. Yeah, now we have to embrace our books.
Yeah.
take the books to our hearts.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have anything more to add? I feel maybe I interrupted you, but
No, I think it's for listening. We have made so much information, so much to digest in a moment. I think it's enough now, and we have maybe if there's another opportunity, if there are other issues here coming up, we do a second interview or a second talk, and but I think it's for the moment. It's good enough, and it's also a sign of a sign of healthy psyche to know the timing, when it's time to start, when it's time to end, and not to stress us.
Thank you a lot, Franz.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
I'm very moved now.
Another time.
Thank you, both of us,
Bye-bye.
and thank you, Katharina, in the